Picture this, it's 9 p.m, you've had a stressful day, you're not even hungry, but somehow you find yourself standing in front of the fridge, then the cupboard, then back to the fridge. Before you know it, you've demolished half a packet of biscuits, a handful of crisps, and that chocolate bar you were saving. And then comes the guilt, the shame, the why can't I just control myself thoughts. Sound familiar? What if I told you that there are 3 critical steps to stopping this cycle that almost everyone gets wrong? Today, I'm going to reveal, number 1, the hidden culprit behind what you think is actually emotional eating. Number 2, why addressing this specific factor first changes everything. And finally, number 3, the simple system that's helped hundreds of my clients finally break free. In my experience, most people are tackling these steps in the wrong order, making their journey 10 times harder than it needs to be. Stay with me for the next few minutes because what I'm about to share could be the missing piece that changes everything about your relationship with food. I'm Harry Snell, and I've spent the last decade helping career-driven women break free from emotional eating and finally find food freedom. And if you're someone who's tried everything, counting calories, meal plans, willpower, even therapy, but still find yourself reaching for comfort foods, this video is specifically for you. So I discovered this approach after working with hundreds of clients who came to me desperate to stop emotional eating. They'd tried every diet under the sun, but kept falling into the same patterns. That's when I realized there was a critical step everyone was missing. See, when it comes to emotional eating, most approaches are incomplete. Nutritionists typically focus solely on meal plans and calorie targets, completely ignoring the emotional side. Meanwhile, therapists address the psychological aspects without fixing the physical foundation. Both are missing half the picture. So today I'm going to share with you the approach that's helped my clients finally stop obsessing over food and start enjoying their lives again. And it all starts with understanding one crucial distinction. Let's start by learning how to tell the difference between physical and emotional hunger, because this distinction is absolutely crucial. So first of all, physical hunger, this develops gradually over time. It typically comes with physical symptoms like an empty stomach, growling, or low energy. When you are experiencing physical hunger, you are open to eating various foods. You are genuinely hungry for nourishment. The physical hunger will then stop when you're full and you feel satisfied, and it doesn't leave you feeling guilty. Emotional hunger, on the other hand, often comes on suddenly and feels urgent. It's typically triggered by specific emotions or situation, and it usually creates very specific needs for certain foods, maybe foods high in sugar or salt or fat. A really big aspect is that emotional hunger continues even after you're physically full. You know, when you've had a big meal and you still want that ice cream or that chocolate. And it often leads to feelings of guilt or shame afterwards. So here's a simple way to tell the difference in a moment. Ask yourself, would I eat a healthy salad with protein right now? Would only chocolate or crisps or ice cream satisfy me? If you'd happily eat nutritious food, you're likely experiencing physical hunger. And if you only want highly processed or specific comfort foods, it's likely to be that emotional hunger. Now, here's what's fascinating. In my 15 years working with clients, I've discovered that what many people label as emotional eating has a much simpler explanation. You're literally underfed. You've been going on restrictive diets that cut out entire food groups. You've been skipping meals because you're busy. You've been living on salads and protein shakes. You've been trying intermittent fasting without understanding how to make it work for your body. And then you wonder why you're ravenously clearing out the kitchen cupboards at 9 p.m. Your body isn't betraying you, it's desperately trying to communicate with you. And when you understand what it's really asking for, everything changes. So if this video is resonating with you, don't forget to check out my free diet freedom course. It's a 4-day journey discovering how to break free from dieting forever, and the link is in the description below. So now let me explain exactly why these physical cravings occur and why they're often mistaken for emotional eating. First, most diets create nutritional imbalances. So when you cut out carbs, your body loses its preferred energy source. When you severely restrict calories, you deprive yourself of essential nutrients. When you skip meals, your blood glucose levels can drop, which can trigger your body's hunger response, craving for quick energy. Your body has one objective, and that's survival. And when it's not getting what it needs, it will create powerful cravings to correct that imbalance. Secondly, these restrictive diets set up what I call the restrict-binge cycle. You restrict food you love, building up both physical hunger and psychological deprivation. Eventually, this creates such intense pressure that you break, and then you blame yourself for having no willpower. Thirdly, many people are chronically dehydrated, sleep deprived, and stressed. Interestingly, research suggests that the hypothalamus region of your brain regulates both thirst and hunger, which is why these signals can sometimes be confused. This, combined with stress and poor sleep, can amplify cravings significantly. So let me give you a common example I see all the time. Sarah came to me suffering from emotional eating, which was hindering her weight loss goals. Every afternoon, around 3 p.m, she'd have intense cravings for sweet things and would end up eating chocolate at her desk. She thought it was stress related, but when we examined her eating pattern, we discovered she was having a small salad with a bit of chicken for lunch at noon. By 3 p.m, her energy was crashing and her body needed quick energy. It wasn't emotional at all. It was a perfectly normal physical response to insufficient nutrition. This is why addressing the physical component first is so crucial. For many of my clients, simply correcting their nutrition solves a significant portion of what they thought was emotional eating. The cravings literally disappear. When I first discovered what I'm about to share with you, it completely transformed how I understood emotional eating. And I've consistently seen this approach create significant shifts for clients who've been struggling for years. There's a fascinating phenomenon that happens when you properly nourish your body, and it's almost like flipping a switch, and it affects 3 different areas of your life simultaneously. Have you ever wondered why some days you feel completely in control around food, while other days it seems impossible to resist cravings? The difference may surprise you. Let me walk you through what happens when your body finally gets the nutrition it's been desperately signaling for. First, you'll notice a shift in your physical cravings. That uncomfortable urgency to eat, the mid-afternoon energy dips, and the frequent food thoughts that interrupt your day. These gradually become less intense and less frequent as your body receives consistent nutrition. Many of my clients notice these changes within the first week. Secondly, your brain undergoes a remarkable transformation. So when your body receives consistent nutrition, your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of your brain, can finally function the way it's meant to. This means you start experiencing something many of my clients haven't felt in years: the ability to make calm, rational choices about food, rather than being driven by primal urges. Imagine that, being able to make decisions around food without feeling like you're fighting yourself every step of the way. Third, you develop a superpower that most people struggle with their entire lives. You can finally distinguish between true physical and emotional hunger. Many of my clients describe it as a fog lifting. For the first time in years, they can clearly tell what their body genuinely needs versus what their emotions are asking for. One of my clients, Rebecca, perfectly illustrates this transformation. She'd been struggling with emotional eating for over 10 years. Within 3 weeks of implementing the nutrition approach I'm about to share with you, she told me, "Harry, I can't believe it. I thought I had deep-seated emotional issues with food, but it turns out I was just hungry. I was literally starving myself all day and then wondering why I couldn't control myself at night." Let me be clear. Genuine emotional eating does exist. Some people truly eat primarily to soothe emotions, not because of physical hunger. But in my experience, unless you fix physical cravings first, addressing the emotional ones may not work. The physical needs create too much noise for you to clearly identify and address the emotional drivers. For most people, once the physical foundation is fixed, what remains of emotional eating is much smaller and much more manageable. And then sometimes it disappears completely. So what exactly causes this transformation? What's the missing piece that makes everything click into place? After working with hundreds of clients, I've identified a framework that consistently creates breakthrough results in managing physical hunger and cravings. But before I share these essential elements, there's something critical you need to understand about why most approaches fail. Most diets are designed with a single focus: calorie reduction at all costs. They cut out entire food groups, severely restrict your eating window, or create complex rules that are impossible to follow, at least long term anyway. The result, your body is deprived of essential nutrients. Your blood sugar becomes unstable, your hormones go haywire, and you're left fighting an uphill battle against your own biology. No wonder willpower eventually fails. You're not lacking discipline, you're fighting against perfectly normal biological responses. Now let's talk about what actually works. Here's my baseline nutrition approach that forms the foundation of my Food Freedom Formula program. Your body thrives on consistency and proper nourishment throughout the day. This means eating 3 to 4 well-balanced meals spaced out 3 to 4 hours apart, starting your day with a protein-rich breakfast that keeps hunger at bay, and maintaining this pattern even on your busiest days. And while meal timing doesn't directly affect your weight loss, total nutrition over the day matters most. It's absolutely critical for managing hunger and cravings. So when you provide your body with regular, nutritious fuel, something remarkable happens. Those overwhelming hunger pangs and desperate cravings that often trigger binge episodes, they begin to fade away. Your body no longer needs to sound the alarm because it trusts that nourishment is coming. The second essential principle is balanced nutrition. Each meal should contain protein, healthy fats, and vegetables, and at appropriate meals in appropriate amounts, carbohydrates as well. This balanced approach ensures your body receives complete nutrition, helping you feel satisfied and energized between meals without relying on willpower. We also implement this with the 10% flexibility rule. This is where 90% of your food comes from nourishing whole food sources, while 10% comes from whatever you enjoy in appropriate amounts: chocolate, crisps, ice cream, whatever. This critical flexibility prevents the psychological and physical deprivation that triggers intense cravings and binges. The key to this is consistency without perfection. When you follow these principles, most of the time, your body establishes a new baseline of stability, but you don't need to be perfect. In fact, trying to be perfect is what creates the physical and psychological pressure that leads to binge eating in the first place. And by perfect, I mean not obsessively counting calories, weighing food, tracking points, or measuring everything to the gram. That approach inevitably backfires. Now, here's an important truth. If you struggle to follow a simple, flexible approach like this one, there's absolutely no way you'll be able to maintain something more complex and demanding, like precise calorie counting, food logging, or weighing everything you eat. And if you're thinking, but if I don't count precisely, I won't get good results, I've seen exactly the opposite with hundreds of clients. The ones that obsess over perfect precision often sabotage themselves through the strict binge cycle, while those who follow simple, sustainable principles consistently achieve better long-term results. Instead, consistency means following simple principles that nourish your body without the neurotic precision that diet culture demands. When I was stuck in my own cycle of restrictive eating and binging, this approach was transformative. I'd been convinced I had emotional issues with food, but in reality, I was just fighting my body's natural responses to restriction. Once I started eating enough, including all food groups, and allowing myself flexibility, food lost its power over me. I stopped counting calories neurotically to precise levels. I could have chocolate in the house without eating the entire bar. I could go to restaurants without anxiety. I could finally think about something other than my next meal. So if you've been struggling with what you thought was emotional eating, I want you to try this approach for just 2 weeks. Focus on balanced, regular meals that include all the macronutrients. Allow yourself flexibility without guilt. Then notice how your relationship with food changes. For many of my clients, this simple shift was the breakthrough moment after years of struggle. They discovered that what they thought was a complex emotional issue was largely a simple physical one. And for those who do have a genuine emotional component to their eating, addressing the physical aspect first makes the emotional work so much more effective and sustainable. Now, if you're ready to put these principles into action, I've created a comprehensive nutrition guide for lasting weight loss that walks you through exactly how to implement this approach step by step. This guide gives you the complete baseline nutrition system with meal templates and food lists. And it's a simple framework that also helps you distinguish between physical and emotional hunger and gives you practical strategies for managing your cravings without willpower. The link is in the description below. This guide is completely free and contains the exact framework that's helped hundreds of my clients finally break free from the diet cycle. And if you found this video helpful for understanding physical cravings, check out my next video right here on how to fix emotional cravings for good.